Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Lamis Jamal Deep, leader of Al-Auda, New York. Mr. President, Wael, Father Makhlouf, dear rabbis from the Turikata, brothers and sisters, comrades and friends, Assalamu alaikum. I would like to begin by congratulating Egypt on winning the African Nations for their historic victory. And I know that the great people of Egypt will be celebrating throughout the land and throughout the world this evening. And I would like them to know that I am with them in this moment of triumph for Egypt. I think it's very important that I begin by saying that notwithstanding some of the things that have been seen and some of the things that I shall say, that we love the Arab people of Egypt from the bottom of our hearts. Egypt, the land of Al-Azhar. Egypt, the land of Jamal Abdel Nasser. Egypt, the liberators of the Suez Canal. Egypt, which has given so many martyrs in the wars for Palestine. We can never hate you and we will never hurt you. Our quarrel is with the tin pot tyranny, the dictator Hosni Mubarak and those who serve him. Father Makhlouf, in a way, asked earlier a question which is regularly asked of me. Why you, Scottish, Irish, from thousands of miles away from the Arab lands, why have you spent 35 years, I know I'm older than I look, 35 years fighting for these Arab causes, the principal of which is Palestine? I always answer this way. Che Guevara was not Cuban, but he fought for the liberation of Cuba. Guevara was not African, but he fought alongside the greatest of all African leaders, Patrice Lumumba, for the freedom of the Congo. And he was not Bolivian, but he gave his life's blood in the mountains of Bolivia so they could be free from dictatorship, which blessedly they now are. And I march behind the banner of Guevara. I believe in what he said, that the man who is not capable of trembling with indignation at any injustice on anyone, anywhere, he is not a real man. That is my mentality, and that is why I am here. I'm very happy indeed to be back with my friends in Brooklyn, New York. And just as I didn't come here to raise a single word against the people of Egypt, let me say that I come here as the great-grandson of the only woman in the whole of the 19th century who emigrated from New York City to Scotland. She got on the wrong boat I have not come here to raise a single word against the people of the United States either. I frequently read, and I read again in advance of this short 3-day visit to the United States, that somehow I've come here to harm the United States. That somehow we, who raise funds for the humanitarian relief of a people under siege, are giving succor, comfort, maybe even material aid to terrorism. We raise funds and we fight and organize to relieve the victims of terrorism. The victims of a terrorism more terrible than any individual act of terrorism, heinous though they may be. A terrorism which has persisted for more than 60 years. Last week, I spoke in Lyon, in France, near the border with Switzerland, at a huge gathering for Palestine, bringing Jews and Christians and Muslims and non-believers together to break the siege on Gaza. Over a crackly telephone line, in a darkened room, a disembodied voice from one of the leaders of the resistance in besieged Gaza was explaining to the people the daily depredations of life under siege. I thought to myself, and those of a certain age may identify with this, that it could have been a Second World War time broadcast from occupied France, and the voice could have been one of the heroes of the French resistance. And yes, the next day, that hero's voice might have been stilled in the brutality of Nazi occupation of Lyon, where resistance was more developed and more brave than anywhere else in France. And the resistance fighter may have fallen, but at least the world would have known that he was the resistance, and the people who killed him were the terrorist criminals occupying his land. And that's the unkindest cut of all. David is a Shakespearean. The unkindest cut of all is that in Palestine, the victims of terrorism are called the terrorists, and the terrorists are called the victims of terrorism. And that's the injustice against which we must stand.